Heretic is directed and written by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, and it stars Hugh Grant, Sophie Thatcher, I believe that's how you pronounce her last name, maybe. I apologize, and Chloe East. And it follows two Mormon missionaries, played by both Sophie and Chloe, who attempt to convert a reclusive Englishman, played by Hugh Grant, only to realize he is more dangerous than he seems. So I don't know if it was Smile 2 or Terrifier 3, but anyway, earlier this year, I think like a few couple months ago, um, I think it was Smile 2 or Terrifier 3, but whatever. This trailer played as a preview for like upcoming. Here are some upcoming horror movies. Besides, they showed this trailer. They showed Nosferatu. They showed the Wolfman. Um, and yeah, so a lot of, and like companion with which I can't companion or companionship with Jack Crade. They showed like a lot of horror scary movies that are coming soon in the future, and one of them was this. And after I watched the trailer, well, first of all, like I should, when I saw the trailer, I was like, wait a minute, I know that guy. He looks really familiar. I'm like, that's Hugh Grant. And what? He's in a scary horror movie. I don't know if this is Hugh Grant's first scary movie, like horror movie or project that he's involved with. I don't know if he's been in other uh, horror movies or TV shows, whichever, whatever. But this was very interesting. Other than that, the rest of the trailer, I'll be honest with you, it didn't really impress me. I was pretty underwhelmed. I just didn't know what to expect going into this movie. And then the reviews started coming in on like Rotten Tomatoes, and you guys have been giving it like great reviews. Like I checked the Rotten Tomato scores and now the audience score, which is I think it's now the popcorn meter. Both of them, both sides are really positive, very very positive. To go on, you know. And I was like, okay, now I'm actually interested in watching this movie. I'm intrigued. If this movie's gotten really good reviews. And then I saw the movie last night, and guys, wow. This is a psychological horror movie, and Scott Beck and Brian Woods, both of these directors, they did psychological horror, but like it's kind of like in a different perspective. It's in a different perspective. This is a psychological horror movies, but um, it's pretty safe. It's pretty safe. Listen, if you don't like horror movies or psychological horror movies, here's what I will say. Without spoiling anything, don't worry. This movie raises I guess like raises a lot of questions. It makes you really question about belief. There's a lot of themes in this film about belief, different religions, questioning religions, questioning God. Is there God, is there Jesus, different like Islamic, Christianity, Buddhist, different types of religions, and it makes you question everything. And not only that, but like Hugh Grant, this movie, I don't know, like it's a very philosophical, this is a very philosophical film. Really, it's more philosophical, um, and thought provoking than like straight up like horror movies, like jump scares here, jump scares there. Um, you know, tense. I mean, sure. I will say this: if you are sensitive to like jump scares or that type of, don't worry. there's probably like one or two. There's literally like one or two like jump scares, quote unquote, if you want to call it that. But other than that, but besides that, the rest of the movie is just, you know, it's like a game of chess. Which door will you open? Which door like are you going to open? Like both physical doors that these girls, that these missionaries open, these two young ladies, and like the actual doors to like religions and all these other stuff, and it's so, I don't know, fascinating and intriguing. And Hugh Grant, I just cannot stop listening to Hugh Grant. Like everything he says, all of his dialogue, I'm like listening to every word that he is saying in this film and his perform, and I think it's because of his performance and the way he's able to deliver his dialogue was really great. And I was just like sitting on. I was just, well, I was reclining. It was a reclining. The theater that I went to, they had reclining seats, so I was like reclining all the way back, and I was like, but then, I was on the edge of my seat. But then I got up. No, well, I didn't stand up, but like I shifted forwards and I to the edge of my seat, and I started listening to like every single word that he was saying, because again, he sounds like a teacher. He sounds like a teacher, a philosopher, and it's so fascinating. Yeah, so it's more philosophical than horror, if you want to go with that. So I think like Smile 2, like if you're sensitive, if you don't like horror movies, um I would say this movie is more safer than something like Smile 2, and definitely like Terrifier 3 or Alien Romulus. Um, so I would say you're better with this movie than with those movies, because those movies are like straight up horror movies, straight up like a horror, like blood and gore and intense violence. This one is just very light and simple and easy. Like I said earlier in this video, there's like literally like one or two like jump scares and there's creepy imageries, sure. But other than that, like this movie is pretty safe. I don't see the problem with, you know, people who don't like horror movies to go see this movie. So you guys should definitely go see this movie. Like, yeah, like Hugh Grant's, like I said, Hugh Grant. Definitely watch this if you're a huge Hugh Grant fan. Um, I haven't seen every. I'm not a huge Hugh Grant fan. The only thing I've seen him in was The Gentleman. I'm trying to remember, like The Gentleman. Um, let's see, The Gentleman. I'm looking. Heretic. And recently he was in Wonka. Yeah, the Willy Wonka with Timothy Chalamet. Like those are the only like real big movies that I've that I remembered him from and that I know him from. So I haven't seen like every single movies that he's in, but yeah, his dialogue and his performance in this movie, Hugh Grant, is so infectious and contagious. And like I said, philosophical. Like I feel like I'm learning so much. Like he's giving a lecture. Like he's giving a lecture, and I'm just like listening to everything. Unlike my real like unlike my real like philosophy class, like philosophy professors and teachers, like he's a better teacher and a philosopher than my actual teachers and philosophers, high schools, both high school and college. But anyway, yeah, that's yeah, like a lot of chills. I will say this movie got there was a lot more chills and goosebumps than shocks, if that makes any sense. Um, but yeah, this, but yeah, if I had to say like any issues, I mean, like if you're real, I mean, I don't know if I want to go there, but It might be a little bit offensive, but you know, if you're like devoutly like religious, um, like this movie portrays a violent treatment towards women and people losing faith, um, and you know, community volunteers. And so if you're sensitive to any of that, you know, if you're like one religion or another, if you're sensitive to any of that, I would skip this movie, because you might think about that, or you might feel that, or you might get a sense of that if you see this movie. So if you're like devoutly religious, or like if you don't like women getting like violently, you know, mistreated, or you know, anything like that, I would skip this movie. But that's not really an issue for me. Like for for me, like personally, I love the movie itself. So like I don't see anything offensive about this. Like I said, what a curious movie. What a curious movie. Wow. I definitely will be buying this movie. I'm not gonna rent this movie. I'm gonna straight up buy this movie when it comes out, like on digital. Like I'll buy it on Amazon, like I always do. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have to say for Heretic. Oh man, like I said, I could listen to like Hugh Grant give a lecture of philosophy about like anything. I would just sit there in class and just listen to everything he says. So intriguing, and just a lot. A lot. I love it. I love this movie. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have to say for this film, Heretic. Um, Beautiful direction by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. Excuse me. I'm looking at that's the producer. Stacy Sher is the producer. What I meant to say was Sophie Thatcher. The two actresses, Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East. They, you know, the two ladies did a great job, especially Chloe. And by the way, like Sophie, I looked this up. Like I was like, she looks familiar. She looks really familiar. I'm like, where do I know her from? I'm like, oh shit, she was in that god awful Book of Boba Fett TV show. She was like in the finale. She was like one of the bike riders or something, like the punk like gang or bike gang or whatever who helped like Boba Fett like near the end of the show. I'm like, oh yeah. And this movie also has a surprise cameo by Topher Grace, who plays like who plays an elder in this film. I'm like, that does not look. That's Topher Grace. That's Venom from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3. He looks I did not recognize him. Maybe it's because of the glasses, or because I just haven't seen him in such a long ass time. The last time I seen him was Spider-Man 3. um but that's pretty much all I have to say for this film. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking time to listening to my review, my thoughts. Please like and subscribe. Definitely subscribe, because that would help me a lot. I appreciate all of that. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace out.